Hello, welcome to the laminator video. And I would ask that if it's possible that you would run through changing the laminator once with me before you actually change the laminator. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. But if it's not possible, make sure that you watch the laminating video a couple of times and that you are thoroughly educated. So, when you come in and you notice that the laminator isn't full and that it needs to be changed, the first thing that you would need to do, I usually turn the laminator on. The switch is behind and to the left. So you just click it on and you can see that it is on. Right here where it says power, there will be a light on. So there is a light here that says power, and this says that it's ready. Sometimes you'll come in and it will be on standby and this light will be lit up, and then you just need to hit the standby button in order for it to go. If this is flashing, that means that it's not ready, but you will need the laminator to run in order to change it. So when you come in and the laminator needs changing, you will find a box that looks like this underneath the laminator, and within that box there are two boxes that look like this. And if you notice, there are two laminating rolls in here, and there is a cardboard piece that looks like this. This is the laminating film threading card, and we have a hot roller laminator. So this tells you how to thread the laminating film through the laminator. So when you begin changing the laminator film, this piece will need to come off, and that is done by this spring-loaded piece. You push it in towards the laminator, and then you pull up, and then there is a slot that it comes off of. If you notice, there's a slot here that goes into two metal pieces here when you put that back on. The next thing you need to do is to lift up this piece, which is also spring-loaded, and both of these pieces need to be put back on when you do load the laminating film. The next thing you'll want to do is take a pair of scissors and actually poke into the laminating film and cut it. And then this whole piece you need to push to the right, it's spring-loaded, and pull up. Sometimes it's a little difficult. This piece right here is gold, and this is the same on both the top and the bottom piece. And this is all spring-loaded and pushes in to the right. Once you've done this, you can set this off to the side. Normally this will be completely empty. Then you'll want to take off the top roll by doing exactly the same thing. And again, pushing to the right. And pulling out again with the gold piece to the right. The next thing you'll want to do is to place the piece down and unscrew this piece. Sometimes this is a little bit difficult and you might have to push up, taking this piece out and making sure that the laminating roll then is changed. At this point you would grab the laminating film from the new roll to put the other one back on. So, in order to put on the new roll, after you've taken both of them out, don't forget that you will need to look at this laminating film threader. You have both of the rolls off. You've made sure that you have it in the right spot. So you'll take the one pull, make sure the gold is on the bottom, take the new laminating roll, and make sure that the film is coming out from the bottom like it shows right here on the laminating film threader. And then you are going to place this on here. It's very, very important that you push down really, really hard, because if this is slipping back and forth, then the laminator will not film or won't go through correctly. And then it will get jammed. When you put this piece back on, you just thread it through, make sure it's pushed down all the way, and then you need to make sure that you tighten this as tight as you can. Usually I set that aside then. And with this piece, you'll want to do exactly the same thing. I'm not taking this piece off because it's exactly the same, but this roll goes under, again, with the gold to the right. Again, you thread it the same way by taking this off, pushing it down, make sure it's tight, tightening this up as tight as you can. This next step is really important. So on this part of the laminator there is this silver bar, and if you push it up it comes down and around. That's just going to be important for threading the laminator film up and through. If you now look at this particular piece, again with the film going up and under, you take it, you place it in here, and again with the spring loaded you need to push to the right, and over here on the left side you'll need to turn until it locks into this piece. Once you've done this, you need to roll it forward a little. Again, the laminator is a little warm right now, and I just thread it up and through by pulling it. Sometimes I pull too much, and then I just have to try to not waste much and then pull it back down so that we haven't wasted a lot of laminating film. At this point I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to, the reason that I like to have the laminator on during this is because if it gets warm, then this will actually stick to this and I don't have to hold it up. At this point, you'll want to pull this bar that we talked about back up into its spot and tighten it and put this down. Okay, so now you'll take the other roll that you've already put on, and again, with the gold piece to the right, you're going to stick it back onto the laminator. Make sure you push again with the spring loaded and fit it into this slot and wiggle until you hear it click. And then this piece actually comes down and over the bar and then down over here. And again, if it's heated, then it's nice because it sticks to that. Place this piece down, and then you're going to want to grab the silver piece that you took off earlier. This piece then with these slats will fit right back on here like this, and then you've got the spring loaded piece that you're going to want to push until you get it down and it clicks into place. This piece, if it ever comes off, you're going to want to make sure that you have it on the edge of the laminator and then lock it. This would be a guide if you ever want to move it over into the center more, but please move it back to this point when you finish so that people that want to do full pieces can do that. The next thing I do then is I take the threading piece, and I always make sure that when I do this, I have a scissors in my hand as well. And I'm going to put it here, and I push it in, and I hit run. The reason I have a scissors in my hand is because sometimes the laminating film wants to curl up and around, and I'll want to just make sure at this point it has gone through, but sometimes it wants to curl up and around, and you don't want that to happen. So I let it run through until it gets to the end. And one of the most important things you can do at this point is just wait until it gets to the end and cut then out the piece that we just threaded through with your scissors. And this next step is imperative. You have to take the big laminator clip that's on the end and unclip it, and then you have to place it on the laminating film again. And that's very important because if you don't do that, even with a small laminating clip, it tends to want to roll back into the laminator, and that's where it causes really big problems.